When you gonna add me to Dead by Daylight? There's a vast majority of people that want Jack Torrance instead of you. I will make you float. If you've ever played Dead by Daylight, then you know it has potential to become one of the greatest online horror games of all time, with tons of survivors, killers, perks, even though it has one objective no matter how many times you play it. The survivors fix the 5 generators to open the door to escape or go through the trap door, and the killer tries to stop them by either hooking the survivors 3 times each or mooring them after hooking them. Which brings me to the topic of today. It Chapter 2 has just been released. Stranger Things DLC has just been released for Dead by Daylight. And I just gotta ask, why isn't Pennywise included in Dead by Daylight? I mean, the obvious answer is
they already have a clown.
But that shouldn't matter, considering the fact that Hillbilly and Leatherface are both characters. They both have a chainsaw and a cattle hammer, but they both play completely different. Well, with different perks and just a different way to play in general. So to me, it makes me wonder, why not add Pennywise? I mean, Stephen King was followed by the game developers on Twitter, so that gives me high hopes that there will be an It DLC made to Dead by Daylight. Although for some reason people want Jack Torrance in Dead by Daylight, which I don't understand why, considering that Pennywise has a lot more that they can work with. Jack Torrance just has an axe, and he has one catchphrase. Now, I know that Wow Such Gaming has already made a video about why Pennywise should be in Dead by Daylight. The link will be in the description below, so I will take some of his points as well as add my own. Number 1, the game has tons of perks about fear, and to be honest, the killers represent people that fears have. People have a fear of clowns, ghosts, demons, and just in general people behind masks. And Pennywise, or It, represents the fear that all humans have. In fact, he feeds off of it. So you can incorporate that into the game by different means, such as doing something similar to the hag traps, having Pennywise pop up to scare the player, or having a perk that makes balloons fly around, and if the survivor sees them, they can have hallucinations of Pennywise. Kind of like the doctor when he does his little shock thing. The balloon can also make them fail skill checks because they're so scared they can't concentrate. While Such Gaming in his video said that an idea that Pennywise can do is that at the very start of the match, Pennywise can appear as any other survivor to the players that are playing as the survivors, just either as for random or as the killer that the survivor played as the most. And I really like this idea because if he's supposed to represent fear, then what's a way to scare the player the most, making them think that they're going up against one killer, but really they're going up against another one. It's genius if you really think about it. I can see, however, how this would be how it can go against Pennywise, because if the survivors are in a party together and they're all talking to each other and they each see a different killer, then this can work against Pennywise. So I can see why this would be a problem, but I'm sure they can find a workaround that. Honestly, I like the idea of having Pennywise's primary attack is that he can have his white-handed glove just out in a fist, and when he charges, when he does his normal attack, it turns into the werewolf hand that you see in the movie, and when he does his lunge attack, it turns into the spider blade that he tries to hit Mike with at their final battle at the end of the first movie. That way, he has some means of an attack. Now, of course, we gotta talk about the deadlights. The deadlights are something that is mentioned in the book several times, and even in the movies. And honestly, the best way that they can incorporate this into the game itself is that they can have the deadlights as Pennywise's Mori. I like the idea of Pennywise lifting the survivor up in the air, and him opening his mouth to show the survivor the dead lights, and they just float up into the sky, and the entity can do whatever they do with the dead bodies. So pretty much what he did to Bev in the end of the first movie. So I really didn't go into too much detail about what they could do if they were to add Pennywise. It's just a basic idea of what they can do. Honestly, whether they add Pennywise or not, it's completely up to the game developers, and we don't really have that much we can do about it. I'm just saying Pennywise would be a great addition to the cast. They can even make it like the Stranger Things DLC. They can have Bill and Bev as survivors, and they can call it the It DLC or something like that, just like they did with Steve, Nancy, and the Demogorgon for the Stranger Things DLC. Now, as cool as it would be to add all of the Loser Club to the survivor list, adding Bill, Bev, Richie, Eddie, Mike, and Stan would be a bit much for the game, probably, because they're like, oh, why are you showing this game, or why are you showing this movie so much love? You know what I mean? But Bill and Bev would work because Steve and Nancy are a thing with the Stranger Things DLC. And just like Wow Such Gaming said, with Pennywise, he can have his Bill Skarsgård costume, and you can give him his Tim Curry costume that you can buy in the store, as well with his own unique perks, because of course, whatever those perks would be, I don't know. It's just something that the game developers would have to find out. But I figured it would be a very good idea to do, just because it has gotten a lot of good vibes lately, and honestly, I think it would be a kick-ass idea for them to add Pennywise into Dead by Daylight. And honestly, if they did that, I would play so much Dead by Daylight that it would probably break my computer if they were to add Pennywise, because he's honestly one of my favorite horror villains, aside from Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger, which are already in Dead by Daylight. But Pennywise has been one of my favorite characters ever since Bill Skarsgård has been Pennywise. So, yeah. So, I think it would be a great idea. But what do you think about adding Pennywise into Dead by Daylight? Put some comments down below. Let's discuss this, and maybe it can happen one day. I don't know. I'm hoping it happens one day. Drop a like and share. Thanks for watching, and stay frosty.